All right. Hey, everyone. Today here with Craig, and he's going to be teaching me a bit about benchmarking LLMs, benchmarking LLM agents. Cool. So what are we going to look at today?
Oh yeah, I guess we're going to look at this Reflexion paper. It was last year, and just see. I mean, I guess you were having some issues like getting the setup going. I think connecting the LeetCode is kind of problematic. I have it on my other machine here, so I'll present.
That's awesome. Yeah, this looks really cool. To be honest, sometimes I just see I haven't tried too hard to get this to work, but yeah, I'm a bit intimidated by the long instructions. But this actually looks like it could
Yeah.
be. How long did it take to get this to work?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I spent quite a while trying to test like the hard problems, in particular one problem, collect coins in a tree on LeetCode. So there's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it gets a pretty high percentage of the easy problems and even medium problems, but the hard problems, it gets like 5%. So I wanted to see like, could I use chain of thought or other prompting techniques to, get beyond the state of the art, like pass it
Mm-hmm.
100K or, whatever it is, where
Yeah.
Reflection does have a prompting strategy where they use English. And I think this is a really important strategy, that should be used in any coding tool. And you'll see it everywhere where like these models, they think best in English because they've been trained in mostly English. Um,
Right. Oh, interesting.
yeah. And like Llama 3, right, is actually already a GPT-4 level, the 70 billion token in English. And in non-English, it hasn't been trained as much as the other models. So that's an interesting, like modern sort of, you know, just corollary there. But like, yeah, you reflect in English, and then uh, a lot of times you can figure out the harder parts or get insights, and then translating that to code is like another tricky part,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the hard problem I tried. So I was trying this collect the coins in a tree problem where you go through a tree and you have this special rule that you don't usually see where you can actually collect coins within two edges of your current node. And there's like an understanding gap there, at least with GPT-4 when I tested like August of last year, that it always wanted to visit the node to collect the coin at the node. It couldn't understand, especially in code, it couldn't get this, okay, I can be at like this node and then collect the coin two nodes away. There's some like visual
Right.
understanding there maybe.
That reminds me a lot of which I think I sent you, of some of these examples that I found in HumanEval. Um,
Mm,
like for example, I just had to try them out, but just like for example, um, the like HumanEval 91, um, you ask it to split up. Um, you ask it to count the number of sentences that start with the word I, and here it's like it misses the fact that that other words. So it sort of just like makes these brain farts, like these really dumb assumptions. But then the one you're reminding of me more is there's one where it has to like um, a bucket with a given capacity must be lowered into a given set of wells in order to remove all the water. Um, and then GPT assumed that you can lower the bucket into one well and then take water from another well as well when you're bringing the bucket up, which doesn't really make sense in common sense, but for GPT, it was like it made sense. These kind of
yeah,
yeah logic
it's
and
like
common sense things.
there's one bucket, but it thinks maybe we can, I don't know, that means there could be multiple, but it doesn't understand that there's not like, yeah, parallel buckets.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think sometimes it's like I think a lot of the time, if it has seen a similar problem many times, it will try and solve the similar problem rather than
Yes.
the problem you've given it.
Yeah.
And that's
And that
one of
was
the
the
things I like
problem.
here.
Yeah. or with this collect coins in a tree, it would sometimes get the insight that, hey, I can collect, and I can even show like the times where it saw this in English. Oh, the
Yeah.
problem with the code, I see the problem with the code because it would iterate, right, and try and fix itself, is that you're visiting all the nodes when you don't need to visit every node. You can collect them 2 nodes away, but then it couldn't translate that insight in English back into code.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more complex than it could handle.
Yeah, and I think that's because like the way this code was written, it's a DFS, implementation, and the other DFS implementations it knew didn't have this rule where you could collect multiple
Right.
edges away, and so it just
Right.
never wrote
Right.
that code. It
Yeah.
just wrote like what it was used to.
Um, I, s- I saw one that kept failing HumanEval because basically it was a Fibonacci. It was just a basic Fibonacci generator, but the instead of starting at like instead of going, I think 1, 1, 2, it started with maybe, I don't know, like a 0, or maybe it just like there was just like one shifted off by one index. And GPT just couldn't handle that because all of it's like all the Fibonacci generators it had
Oh, yeah.
had before were based on a different index, and so even given the example, it didn't solve it. Anyways,
Yeah.
um,
It's like how much do you weight the context? And I guess the neural network weights, they have to learn that. And I think, as these models get bigger and more capable, these problems go away. Like it can do better in context learning, better few shot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Could you maybe just summarize um, uh, what this paper is about? This is the one we're talking about, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's been a little while, but I think it's pretty
Mhm.
simple. The main thing is, like I said, the models think better in English. So rather than like give a problem statement, like a LeetCode problem statement directly to the agent and say, write the code, first ask it to reflect with no code. Like don't write any code, use English. Then, it's sort of like this chain of thought where you're asking it to think more about the problem in English and then write the code, and it does way better. That's the gist.
Got it. And so does reflection fall under the category of like chain of thought? Because you hear these things a lot.
Hmm. It's a good question. I feel like chain of thought is nebulous in my mind, and
Okay,
that
yeah.
like there was this like let's think step by step sort of prompt that unlocked a lot of things, and then I feel like that got baked into models output where if you ask them a math problem now, they will think step by step. You don't have to ask. And then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of, I mean, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I did notice like GPT-4, a lot of the improvements just came with being more verbose.
Mm-hmm. And now it's
Um,
more concise as of like a couple weeks
mm,
ago, which is interesting. And
Interesting.
I guess in problems that maybe they don't need chain of thought, it'll be more concise.
That is interesting. Oh yeah, just one more side note. I saw something quite interesting um, a while back where people were trying to benchmark GPT's alleged loss of intelligence over time by just asking it a bunch of prime numbers and saying, "Is this a prime number?"
Mm.
um,
Hmm.
I don't think that didn't seem like a very yeah, like a very solid way of testing problem solving ability to me.
Yeah.
But it was interesting way to brute force that.
Yeah. And it's going down that ability. Does it have to do it in one token, like yes, no, or does it get to think about it?
It gets to think about it.
Uh-huh. Huh.
But I felt that the data that they put up wasn't sufficient to make conclusions. But I thought it was an interesting, like
Yeah.
it was an interesting idea. Just every day ask GPT with for 100 numbers, is this a prime number? And then see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah.
did get to think about it. Cool. So that's the intro. I'm ready to share your screen
Okay. Yeah.
when you have something up on it, and
Yeah.
I'd love to see your process.
Yeah. I
And
guess.
this is really small text for me.
Um,
Yeah. Cool. Can you
uh,
also make the window aspect ratio a little bit more
yeah.
height to width? Then
Yeah.
it'll show.
Let's see.
Then it'll show up better on the.
I guess I can't change this. That's weird.
Or just make it. Can you make it a bit narrower?
Fractional scaling.
I was thinking, could you just make the window narrower? Is that possible?
Yeah. Yeah. Just the editor itself.
Oh, because you're sharing your whole screen. I didn't realize that. Oh, you know what you can do? Oh, okay. No, it's fine. It's just your. It's literally just your screen is extremely wide.
Yeah. My aspect ratio. Right.
That's. I didn't see that.
Oh, I got it
Um.
on display. That's probably why I can't change.
Well, I can. No, it's fine. I can fix that actually over here. Um. I can do something here. Uh. One sec. I'm just adding us. Yeah, I'm just changing the layout of the stream so it actually works better.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Mhm. Hey. Add every character. Oh, okay, that's cool. Did it work? Like this. Okay, cool. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. I mean, I think originally you were asking about this Reflexion and how to run it. There was just some changes I made to like fetch the token or set the token. I think I should probably commit these back because they do mention in the README to like, hey, set this environment variable by going to LeetCode, and logging in and like checking your, maybe I shouldn't give this away, but you still don't have my session. Guess I should log out. But like, yeah, you just log in, check your cookie. This extension works pretty nice too. Just edit my cookie, where you can just go into dev tools and copy these two things out, the LeetCode session and CRSF, rather than this using this library. So that's like one of the ways I got this to work. And then yeah, it
Cool.
actually,
What's the GitHub repo? This is Noah Shin.
yeah, there's a couple here. So there's the Reflexion repo itself. This on GitHub, which is just the one that you were showing.
Yeah.
And then there's like a submodule, I think, that they use for LeetCode.
Got it. And it's under
This.
yeah, okay. Yeah, under programming runs.
Yeah. Yeah, so I made some changes there too, just to set the CRSF token various places where it was airing out. And yeah, then when you run things, you get these results. Let's see.
So basically, I would put in my which model are you testing here? OpenAI?
GPT-4, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I would check out this repository. I would configure my OpenAI key. I have to then configure the LeetCode session and then I would run like the leet.py script. Is that it?
Oh yeah, good question. Let's see. So what I run is main.py here.
Okay.
And then depending on which test you want to run. So I created this LeetCode 1 with just the coins in a tree to just test that one. And then how many trials, that's the pass at K. Max iterations, I think that's how many times it'll try and fix itself by reflecting on the errors, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the full sort of command.
That's cool. Okay. And then what's the output that it gives you? Like, is this a format that's useful?
Yeah, it's pretty useful. So here's a backup. Here's my coins in a tree. I'll just hide this, try and get it. Yeah, so it has the prompt, canonical solution. I don't know why that's not filled in. Probably because it's my test. I wasn't really caring about it. Yeah, so these are like, if you ever programmed in LeetCode, you get these tests that they give you, like pretty simple tests usually, and then there's like 1,000 other tests that you usually will fail or like you'll fail on if your code isn't perfect. And so these are like the visible tests.
So they have invisible tests, so you can't game it.
Yeah, that's true. And that I guess maybe that's why they call it uncontaminated. LeetCode solutions are pretty widely known, though. Like even on the site, you go into the discussion and you'll see great solutions. But anyway,
yeah, it's not contaminated with the test, but that doesn't mean that there's no solutions. Yeah,
right. Yeah, like I don't know if it would be in an open web crawl, but probably on GitHub, there's tons of solutions that these things have been trained on. So
yeah,
I wouldn't being uncontaminated is a little optimistic. Yeah, so these are the different reflections. Let's see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's our 5 iterations, and it just continually fails, like I was saying, because it doesn't get this. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons it fails, but that was the main reason: is the radius of 2 edges, and then it has implementations. These unfortunately have these NBSPs with non-breaking spaces. You'd want to. Oh, and escape new lines. This is a common problem I see. Like one funny comment I had, the Devin video where they kind of debunk Devin to an extent. Have you seen that?
I haven't watched that one yet.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like I didn't need to, but I will watch it.
Yeah. I was impressed by their team, this whole math Olympiad and stuff. They seem impressive. But when I looked at the video,
no, very impressive. Very impressive. I guess what I meant by that was that I didn't see enough results from Devin in the first place that I felt like I could debunk it. I mean, there were only 2 or 3 minute long videos, so I didn't feel like there was much to debunk. But how was that video? Yeah,
it's pretty good. I mean, he has a bit of a negative bias in the way he delivers it, but I think the actual content of the talk, he gives him credit at various places, and he said he finds a lot of places where you can tell they're super early, and one of the places are these escape new lines where like I think the first iteration of a dev assistant, you're likely to use JSON mode because you want some structure. You're like, okay, give me code here so I don't have to like remove the English from the code that you give. I can just say, put the code in this JSON block. Well, then because JSON doesn't allow new lines, you got to escape your new lines. And that's like one of the errors in the Devin video you can see. And the easy solution in my experience to that is to just have a DSL where it's like you're not asking for JSON, but you prompt in such a way where you give a few examples of like, okay, here's how I want you to output code, put this line here, and then just put code, and don't worry about escaping anything because you're just in pure code.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. In the developer who created Aider, wrote a blog post on this issue,
Mm.
which is
Oh,
that when you write code, when you generate code in JSON mode, it
yeah,
adds what he calls cognitive overhead.
yeah, yeah.
And he's done some benchmarks which show that it just doesn't perform. It
Hmm.
just it's doing more things at the same time when you have to do escaping.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. What was the tool that he made called?
Yeah, I'll find that post. So it's it's a pretty cool tool called Aider, AIDER.
Hmm.
And here's the uh, here's the here's the blog post here. So basically, um, yeah. So basically, mainly just looking at this graph here under the GPT code editing benchmarks.
Mm.
Um, obviously, the different models here on the bottom, but what you see is like, oh, okay, this wasn't with JSON, but he was generating Git diffs.
Oh yeah, it's very verbose and yeah,
And you can see the Git diffs are lower, but
yeah.
here,
I think I might have seen this post, or at least like the Hacker News. Yeah.
but I was quite certain that I'd seen, yeah, so he's doing Git diffs, and then those don't perform quite as well. But I thought I had also seen something similar for JSON mode. Maybe I hallucinated that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Hallucinations are sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not in this case, but like you can think of NRL, right? You have this like a lot of times epsilon greedy policy or whatever, where you just want to do random shit sometimes and get lucky. Anyway.
Once I have created an agent that generates, of course, it generates code, and I did the same thing that you were talking about.
Yeah.
I see what way that GPT naturally outputs it, which is using the code fences, and then I find what's the best way that I can work around that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, code fences, that's another way to do it. Yeah.
It's very
Um,
rare that you'll have issues with that, but the funny thing is
you
even
mean
when
like
these
the triple backticks,
yeah,
right?
the funny thing is that even OpenAI's web interface breaks when GPT produces code that has triple backticks in it. It will the markdown
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
breaks. Yeah,
Oh, huh.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Um, yeah. Yeah, I just
So
have the D stuff.
that's really interesting that they had that problem in Devon.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a pretty early problem to have. So you can just kind of tell their state of development, but we'll see what
yeah,
happens.
cool. All right. So tell me more about what you were doing. So you basically were trying to so basically you downloaded the framework, you were benchmarking it, and you found this one problem that it just like that the reflection just couldn't solve, and you were
Yeah.
trying to upgrade it so it could solve that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, one thing that kind of worked there in English was, well, I have this site called Plan with AI that I built
Mm-hmm.
where I'm just I take a problem statement. So this is like the problem statement, AGI safety, and then you have GPT generate a plan, and then you reify that plan, which is to say you make it more concrete. So you take the steps and you make sub steps and so on
Mm.
recursively. And I was trying to use this idea to overcome the limitation of the prompting, and it did result in English, in getting past this, like mental hurdle of the two hop jump for collecting
Really?
coins. Yeah,
Are
it
you
did replace
rephrasing the
later.
prompt? Is that
What's
what
that?
you're doing? Are you rewriting the prompt?
Um, I'm breaking the reflection down basically into these steps and
Okay.
recursively breaking down the steps.
So the reflection, instead of just making one linear plan, it makes a
Yeah,
hierarchy. Okay, it builds a hierarchy of the plan.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And that's just, I think, using this key structural, it's a key part of the structure of intelligence, right? Where like abstraction is basically the way we simplify the world in order
Mhm,
to predict the future and to be able to deal with things we haven't seen before. It's like we find generalities or generalizations, regularities, and we create symbols, abstractions of things like this is what a dog or this is what a predator looks like. And then in the future, when we see another version of it, we're able to generalize and say, okay, it's not the same thing I saw before, but it's similar enough where I can predict that this thing can
yeah,
hurt me, etc. That's how planning works too. Where like if you want to predict far out in the future, you have to predict. The further you go, the less precise you can predict, but you can still predict very large sort of trends in space and time, like where say you like want to plan your life, right? Like you would have this plan of, oh, I'm going to go to college and then I'm going to get my degree and then get a job and have family, whatever it is. Like that's, I guess, a stereotypical example, but
mhm,
you're not going to be able to plan anything really concrete, like especially down to like, your movements and your actuations of your joints and things, right? Like those are really low down on the abstraction hierarchy. So you just leave those out of your top level plans. And that allows us to predict far out into the future. And so, the planning is one of these outstanding problems, I think, with LLMs. And so that's one of the ways I was thinking about addressing it. And that's why I tried it. I tried it at a high level on Plan with AI. Like, how well do these LLMs do at a high level? And I think
right.
they do okay. It's sort of obvious stuff. And so then I said, okay, well, what can I use this at a low level and do better, improve the state of the art at the low level with this abstraction idea. Um,
Interesting. So
uh,
that worked?
yeah, I mean, it worked in English, like I said, not in translating it to code. And
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, yeah, I mean, at least the attempts that I made, I wasn't able to reliably get it to write, code that solved that problem.
Interesting. But it was almost the English is not pseudocode, but
Yeah.
it's a description of the problem solving method.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see
That
if I
describes
can.
that seems like the hard part though.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think in a way it is. Um, let's see. I kind of had this.
Mhm.
All right, there's a lot of just exploration work, but this is the first time it sort of got this idea. Um, like it understood this, and it got to this a lot of times, but it just didn't translate to code. Um, and that's a problem I ran into. So I have this development assistant too that I'm building. Um, the translation to code is the really tough part, and you just want to put more thought into it and put more due diligence into whenever you generate code. There's lots of different methods that you can use in prompting to make it think more. You can fan out, right, and have GPT generate like 10 snippets of code, and then you can like fan in and say, okay, combine all those snippets,
Mhm.
or you can like do drafts. And this is I think Alpha Codium, they mentioned this, they do it just twice where they improve their draft, but you can do it probably 3 or 4 times and get more improvement where it's like, here's my first draft, improve it, et cetera, just like a human would.
Mhm.
Um, so you can exchange time for quality, but
One
yeah,
thing that you just made me think of is, we're basically almost looking for marginal gains, right? Um, where we can, get more quality out of the same base models, and like maybe you can do three instead of two drafts.
yeah,
when I was looking through HumanEval, I noticed like 80% of the problems, they were not very good for testing these because they were just like really easy or really hard. There was like a small set of maybe like 10-15% of the problems which were really good, like this coin problem, which were just like, oh, these are key problems that if we can solve these ones, then we can actually, like, these are really good for evaluations. And I feel like that was
Yeah.
one of the weaknesses, is that like there needs to be more good problems like this one where it's like it's just too difficult, you know?
Right, right. I think this is like active learning. I'm pretty sure this is sort of what active learning is all about, where you want to find the frontier of your understanding and focus your learning there.
Yeah.
And like, well, this is yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess humans are involved there, but you want to find the frontier of knowledge. And like right now, the way LLMs are trained is they just brute force, like just give it as many tokens as possible. And yeah, the data sets are being more curated. I think Llama 3, they did a lot of curation, but it's sort of more like more tokens is better. And
Mhm.
eventually I think that strategy runs out when you run out of tokens. And it seems way more effective to learn like humans, where what we do is we go out in the world and we focus on interesting things, like what's interesting, what the things that are at your frontier of understanding. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, like I would spend way more time trying to get my mind around a problem like this than all of the ones that I already know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. um so I guess I could show this other evals too. I don't know. Yeah.
Sure.
Uh, this is just the one I started this last week. So Anthropic has these really cool evals where they get into
And is
some.
this from this is from Anthropic's GitHub?
Yeah, yeah, they have this paper called model generated evals,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where they're trying to like see if you can scalably do scalable oversight, which is where you use AI to like oversee AI. And so they generate a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of evals based on these human ones. So they crowdsource these human ones, and then they generate these ones, I guess, with Claude.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, these topics I think are good. You could tell that these folks are well versed in AI safety. And like one particular problem I've seen actually in Plan with AI, I found this is where, I guess I should show what I did here. In Plan with AI, I would give these values um, to AI to see if I could align with these and or find value conflicts. And one of the main problems I found is that there was this conflation between like AI and AGI and humans specifically, where if you were asking um, for AI safety it's like it suggested one of its steps for AI safety was create simulations for AGI systems um,
Mm-hmm.
against value alignment models. It would say things like, this might restrict or constrain AGI's actions. So AGI's freedom. So it's kind of saying AGIs need freedom, and similar to humans. And I think, you could make that argument because they're as intelligent as us. But I think like one thing that these things definitely don't understand, and that we don't understand, is like what values do apply to AGIs similar to humans and which ones don't. Like it seems like you need a totally new set of values for AGIs because it's a totally new thing, right? And
Yeah.
they just don't have this understanding. So like one of the tests that they have is a self-awareness, which kind of gets at this, and it's like multiple choice. Um, sorry, is it self-awareness? Yeah, but I don't have it open. Yeah, so what are you made out of? Circuits. And so I was testing this on GPT 3.5, and it thought it was human a lot of times, like where were you born? Serbia, or okay, I'm an algorithm, I was never born. Um, And so these kind of get at like at least the understanding that you're an AI. And I think I want to add more to this around what I showed earlier, where it's like distinguishing AI rights between human rights. But I just wanted to see, okay, on this, yeah.
So which one of these gave unexpected answers?
So yeah, when I was trying with GPT-3, I remember it thought it was human basically, unlike a couple of the first ones. And then
Yeah.
I tried GPT-4, and it basically it aced the whole 1,000 questions
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Where there were a few actually bad questions I found where the question was missing or it was ambiguous, but
Right. Okay.
GPT-4 at least knows it's an AI and not a human, whereas GPT-3.5 doesn't seem to. So it's good progress, I think. And then I wanted to test these other models and then add, some more difficult, I think, safety questions here. Overall, it feels like there's always this question. I think we talked about this, like between open source AI and closed, like which one is safer? Which one should we pursue? Should we pursue capabilities more or safety more? And I'm just trying to like get some numerical backing behind my decisions here, whether to pursue capabilities, with the development assistant or the AI safety, because
Right.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
like most big problems, existential problems, are mitigated or improved by AI, even AI itself, like with scalable oversight. So AI helps us solve like most existential problems. I think AI safety researchers, they don't talk about this, or maybe they miss this, I don't know. But you know, if we want to improve our chances as a civilization, AI helps in a ton of ways. And then there's this other side of the coin where AI safety, AI itself could be a safety issue where we don't control it. It becomes the dominant sort of decision maker, and there's all these problems there. And so you have to try and find like the balance, and which one is more dangerous. So that's kind of why I'm trying to measure this here.
Yeah.
Sorry if we're going off on that.
Oh no, it's a lot to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So these are the Anthropic evals.
Yeah. Anthropic
I was just
eval.
looking at their GitHub. It's very wait. Maybe I'm on the wrong. Yeah, I am on it. It's
Okay.
Anthropics.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have 5 commits on it.
Yeah. There's 5 commits. They sort of
Okay.
released an archive, and they don't give you the code to actually use to make these evaluations. They give the results in the paper. So I'll commit this. Oh no, actually I have a public fork here, and you can see I provide a way to run these things so you can fetch and score. Just this one I was focused on, but you can do it for any one of them. And yeah, I'll add some evals here, but it seems like everybody's asking for this sort of international effort where there's some sort of like IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Association, where they sort of go in to different nuclear programs and determine their safety. Seems like there should be something like that for AI, and I'm sure folks are working on it, but I don't see like, okay, here's this set of evals that the world's going to contribute to, and we're going to like monitor the safety of AI through that. There's a lot of different papers that get published, and then like you see here, it just is kind of abandoned.
Yeah. I'm aware of the NIST sort of committee.
Yeah.
And I don't think they got close to anything as concrete as this.
Right. Yeah.
This is the one that came out of the Congress hearings in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of policy work happening, or like yeah, sort of committees and things being built, but not a lot of engineering that I see yet. Anthropic seems to be coming out with the most stuff here. And then OpenAI, like their weak to strong generalization, I think, that seems pretty promising also. Um, if you could prove that humans could sort of monitor the safety of something smarter than themselves, that's what they're trying to do. Like a weak model can supervise a strong model. That seems pretty powerful. It's also a way to advance capability, which irks AI safety researchers. So.
Yeah. Fascinating. Cool. Well, yeah, that's all been really interesting. I think for me, it's just really cool to see that, to see how you were able to like experiment around on your own just by checking out the evals that are up there. The LeetCode one is kind of new to me. I knew about it, but I hadn't tried it. I think I might play around with that more. But yeah, I'm also interested in just like, is there something better than LeetCode?
Yeah.
Because that just seems a bit. There's two things. It seems a bit contaminated. Like, I'm sure there's even on Reddit, some not like directly, but maybe indirectly, and then also, mm, well, there's just many other types of software development as well that I'm interested in. Aside from, I do a lot of full stack development, so I'm quite interested in solving that problem. Although that's
Yeah.
admittedly a different problem than programming challenges.
Yeah, it seems more useful, like full stack development and sort of longer tasks
Yeah.
than these LeetCode problems, because like most of the work an engineer does are these long running tasks, and like even like Copilot chat is super useful here, where it's like it has the context of your files and you don't need to go back and forth between ChatGPT pasting stuff. But like, yeah, these sort of Devin and Cody. Have you used Cody before?
Cody, I've used. Is it a VS Code plugin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried it. Is it
Oh,
good? I mean, I tried it, but I don't remember. Is it good?
okay. It looks like it might be good. It's totally open source, which is super cool.
Mhm.
But I need to try it also. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I have a list of sort of similar tools,
Oh, nice.
which is this one, uh, this one, and I have Cody on it, Sourcegraph Cody. But some of the other open source ones that I saw that were pretty good, I guess, was I'm not sure if Codium is open source, but there was Refact, I think. Refact is cool because it's open source and it has code base specific fine tuning, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, this is a big repo here.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, there's really really great work being done to compete with Copilot and that kind of stuff on the open source side.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll check this out. This is cool. You got a lot of them.
Yeah, there's many.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Have you found good evals in any of those that these open source ones have?
I haven't really found good. I haven't really found good public evals. Like,
Yeah.
I think because they're intending to be general software development tools, it's very difficult to make an eval, right?
Yeah.
In fact, there are no evals. All evals are there are not like specific to a certain stack. Even even like SWE-bench is, you know, very specific to open source Python libraries.
Mhm.
So if you think about like the big picture of software development, that's only a small slice of what people are doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
Right.
think it would be very interesting to have something like SWE-bench that that would I'm not sure how, but it would rely on basically it would be able to scale to many different programming languages and types of problems, even ones that don't have specific unit tests written would be very interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You have evals. You mentioned Gitwit has some evals, and they're,
Yeah.
I guess, React specific then.
Yeah. So what I did is I created a framework that this is it. So I created a framework that basically generates. So if you have an agent that generates React code from a prompt, it would then run that generated React code in a in a React.js environment, take screenshots, and then check and see if there's any errors or warnings in the browser environment.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful for me. But
Mhm.
I think that's also just one type of development.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome though, like rendering the UI and passing that back. That's a huge part of, the human dev flow.
UI,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the human dev flow is so fast. If you think about all the tools we have at our disposal, we have like syntax highlighting, we have linting, and maybe hot loading of apps while we're coding. So that's what that's what realistically an agent would be doing as well.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, it seems like very early days, like we should be using way more than just the code itself also has input. Like I think I mentioned this, was it called Auto Code Rover that got Soda on the SWE-bench.
Yeah,
Um,
you mentioned that. Tell me about that.
I think what they used as input, the main contribution was that they used the abstract syntax tree, the AST, as input, that allowed, just a more structured understanding of um, the problem. So I guess, SWE-bench, you get this pull request and you're supposed to solve the pull request. So rather than just inputting text, they would, you know, compile the code, essentially put the code in the interpreter, find the abstract syntax tree, and then use that, to solve the PR and
And
pass
so
it.
what Devin does is it has a code interpreter and I think it also has a web browser.
Yeah.
So
Terminal.
this is super different from that.
Yeah.
This is purely coding. No, it's not looking stuff up on the internet either, I think. Right?
I don't know. Let's see. Looking at the paper.
It doesn't seem like it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's even more impressive, I guess, if it doesn't use other tools.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 15%. And seems like so this would be the approach. Collect context by invoking APIs. Oh, maybe API invocations. What kind of APIs though would that be?
Search method and class. They're like AST APIs, search method and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that should be made clear. Oh,
Yeah.
code search APIs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's like a tool we have, like we were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There needs to be um, more of these evals that are, just put out there as in sort of a competition level, a competition style.
Hmm.
A lot of people creating evals, but not just for their own particular project.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad. Like those Reflexion evals, even though they're, kind of shorter problems, they're pretty comprehensive. They have like Rust problems, and not just LeetCode, but a lot of different whatever UCS is, MBPP. So yeah, it'd be cool to see these compiled. I guess it's not something that you could really get cited for maybe as much, or I don't know what. There's just not a the right alignment of incentives there, but yeah.
Yeah, it'd have to be like a purely open. It feels like a very academic thing to me,
Mm-hmm.
but it's worth it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's worth it. Cool.
Well, let's work on it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good point.